Ghana's parliamentary chaos, lawmakers suspended after fight, a deeper look into political instability. Welcome to the Bold African Voice, BAV, where we dive deep into the heart of Africa's most pressing political issues. I'm Abdul Karim Kargbo, born and raised in Africa. Today we take a closer look at the recent violent clash in Ghana's parliament that led to the suspension of 4 lawmakers. What happened? Why did it escalate into a physical altercation? And what does this mean for Ghana's political future and African democracy as a whole? Let's explore. On January 30th, 2025, Ghana's parliament descended into chaos during the vetting of ministerial nominees, culminating in a violent altercation among lawmakers. The incident resulted in the suspension of 4 members and has reignited discussions about parliamentary conduct and the broader implications for Ghana's democratic institutions. The incident, a breakdown of order. The altercation occurred during the vetting of Samuel Nardi George, the nominee for Communications Minister. Alexander Afenyo-Markin, the parliamentary leader of the opposition New Patriotic Party, NPP, engaged in an extended questioning session lasting over 5 hours. This prolonged interrogation led to heightened tensions, culminating in a physical confrontation among members of the vetting committee. The scuffle resulted in the destruction of parliamentary furniture, including overturned tables and broken microphones. Speaker's response and subsequent actions. Speaker Alban Bagbin condemned the incident as a gross affront to the dignity of Parliament and a blatant contempt of the House. In response, he announced a 2-week suspension for 4 lawmakers: Roxanne Nelson Etsikwame Dafiamakpour, Frank Anor Dompre, Alhassan Sulemana Tampuli, and Jerry Ahmed Shaib. A 7-member special committee was tasked with investigating the incident, with findings expected within 10 days. Additionally, lawmakers found responsible for damaging parliamentary property are to have the costs deducted from their allowances. Historical context: a pattern of parliamentary violence. This incident is not an isolated event. In December 2021, Ghana's parliament experienced another violent clash during the election of a new speaker and subsequent disruptions over the electronic transaction levy bill. These recurring incidents highlight a troubling pattern of physical confrontations within the legislative body, raising concerns about the erosion of decorum and respect for democratic processes. Comparative analysis: Africa's legislative challenges. Ghana's parliamentary turmoil mirrors challenges faced by other African nations. In 2019, during a parliamentary by-election in Ayawaso West constituency in Accra, violence erupted, attributed to the presence of political vigilante groups affiliated with political parties. These groups, often composed of unemployed youth, are used to intimidate opponents, disrupt voting, and protect party interests, posing a significant threat to democratic stability. Similarly, in 2021, the Ghanaian army intervened to quell a clash in parliament ahead of a swearing-in ceremony, underscoring the severity of legislative violence in the country. Implications for Ghana's democracy. The recurring incidents of violence in Ghana's parliament have profound implications for the nation's democratic health. Such events undermine public trust in legislative institutions and may deter citizen participation in the democratic process. The normalization of physical confrontations within the legislative chamber erodes the principles of debate, consensus building, and respect for differing viewpoints. Forward-looking approach: strengthening parliamentary integrity. To address these challenges, several measures are recommended. 1. Enhance training and orientation. Implement comprehensive training programs for lawmakers focusing on conflict resolution, parliamentary procedures, and ethical conduct to foster a culture of respect and professionalism. 2. Independent oversight mechanisms. Establish independent bodies to monitor parliamentary proceedings and investigate incidents of misconduct, ensuring accountability and transparency. 3. Public engagement and education. Engage civil society organizations and the media in educating the public about parliamentary processes and the importance of nonviolent discourse, thereby strengthening democratic values. 4. Legislative reforms. Review and amend parliamentary rules to include stricter penalties for misconduct, including suspension or expulsion, to deter violent behavior. The recent events in Ghana's parliament serve as a stark reminder of the challenges facing democratic institutions in Africa. Addressing parliamentary violence requires a concerted effort from lawmakers, civil society, and the public to uphold the integrity of legislative bodies and ensure that they function as forums for constructive debate and democratic governance. Political polarization and its role in legislative clashes. The recent incident in Ghana's parliament also underscores a growing trend of political polarization, which has increasingly played a role in legislative gridlocks and conflicts across Africa. In Ghana, the main actors in this recent altercation were from two major political factions, the ruling National Democratic Congress (NDC) and the opposition New Patriotic Party (NPP). The divisions between these two parties, which have been intensifying over the years, are emblematic of broader political tensions in many African democracies. In countries like Uganda, Nigeria, and Zambia, political polarization often manifests in the form of violent confrontations within legislative bodies or between members of opposing political parties. This polarization can be traced to several factors, including ideological differences, struggles for political control, and, at times, ethnic or regional tensions. In Ghana, for instance, the NPP and NDC have long been locked in a fierce battle for political dominance, and the parliamentary clashes reflect the broader national struggle for power. This cycle of increasing acrimony and political infighting not only destabilizes parliamentary proceedings, but also undermines public confidence in democratic institutions. Reuters. International perspective and regional comparisons. When comparing Ghana's recent parliamentary violence to other African nations, it becomes evident that the continent has struggled with similar challenges in maintaining order and discipline in legislative bodies. In Nigeria, for example, the National Assembly has witnessed several violent brawls, particularly between lawmakers and security personnel, during moments of heightened tension over issues such as budget approvals and presidential policies. These incidents have called into question the credibility and professionalism of the Nigerian legislative system, much like in Ghana, where the integrity of parliamentary proceedings is being increasingly questioned. Al Jazeera. In South Africa, a country known for its relatively stable democratic system, Parliament has also seen its fair share of disruptive incidents. The most notable was in 2016, when members of the opposition party Economic Freedom Fighters, EFF, were forcibly removed from the chamber during a heated debate over President Jacob Zuma's corruption scandal. While these incidents differ in nature, they share a common thread: the inability to maintain decorum in the face of political division, which undermines the legitimacy of legislative bodies across the continent. The recurring nature of these incidents across various African countries is a stark reminder of the challenges that Africa faces in nurturing mature democratic systems. Legislative violence, while not unique to Ghana, exacerbates the growing concerns about the vulnerability of the continent's political institutions to manipulation and chaos. Addressing the root causes of parliamentary violence. In order to avoid future incidents like the one in Ghana's parliament, it is crucial to examine the root causes of such violence. The tension that led to the physical altercation was reportedly due to accusations from the ruling NDC lawmakers that their opposition counterparts from the NPP were prolonging the vetting process with excessive questioning. This suggests a deeper issue at play, namely, the use of parliamentary procedures as a means of political maneuvering rather than constructive governance. In many African countries, political parties often perceive the parliamentary process as a battleground for political survival rather than a forum for policymaking and national development. This environment of intense competition for power, coupled with a lack of effective mechanisms to resolve political disputes, creates fertile ground for violent clashes in the legislature. In the case of Ghana, the deliberate prolonging of ministerial vetting by opposition lawmakers may have been seen as a way to obstruct the ruling government's agenda, further deepening political divisions. Moreover, the absence of a clear and robust system for handling intra-parliamentary disputes, whether through mediation, dialogue, or non-violent protest, leaves little recourse for lawmakers to voice their grievances. The lack of such mechanisms, coupled with a heavy reliance on physical confrontation to resolve disputes, is a concerning trend that needs urgent redress. The role of leadership in maintaining order. The leadership of Ghana's parliament, particularly Speaker Alban Bagbin, plays a crucial role in preventing and addressing these incidents of violence. Bagbin's condemnation of the altercation as an affront to the dignity of parliament highlights the importance of maintaining integrity and respect for parliamentary procedures. However, while Bagbin's swift action in suspending the lawmakers is commendable, more proactive measures must be taken to instill a culture of respect and professionalism within the institution. In several African countries, parliamentary leadership is often caught in the crossfire of political disputes, making it difficult to take decisive action against misbehaving members. In Ghana, the speaker's impartiality and willingness to act against party-affiliated lawmakers, regardless of their political leanings, will be crucial in setting the tone for future parliamentary conduct. His leadership could set a precedent for other African nations grappling with similar issues of legislative violence. However, the challenge remains. How can the speaker and other parliamentary leaders consistently maintain order and discipline in an environment that is highly politicized and prone to outbursts of violence? The answer lies not just in punitive measures but in the development of a deeper institutional culture that encourages open dialogue, mutual respect, and the protection of parliamentary decorum. Looking ahead, restoring confidence in parliamentary processes. As Ghana's parliamentary system grapples with the aftermath of the latest clash, the nation must take a hard look at the structural issues that enable such violent incidents. Strengthening democratic institutions requires more than just the imposition of disciplinary actions. It requires fostering a culture of accountability, transparency, and inclusivity. In the short term, Ghana's political parties must recognize that their role in the legislature is not only to challenge each other politically, but to work together for the good of the nation. This will require a shift in attitudes, particularly from opposition parties, towards a more collaborative approach to governance. In the long run, Ghana must focus on broader reforms to its political system, including enhancing the independence of the judiciary and electoral bodies to ensure that the institutions meant to hold power in check are themselves not subject to partisan influence and manipulation. By addressing the root causes of parliamentary violence and political gridlock, Ghana can become a model for other African nations seeking to build a more stable, effective, and peaceful legislative environment. As Ghana moves forward, it must prioritize institutional reforms that encourage cooperation, accountability, and respect for democratic norms, ensuring that the violence seen in parliament does not become a permanent fixture in the country's political landscape. The role of civil society and media in holding lawmakers accountable. One of the critical components that Ghana, and indeed many African nations, must rely on to restore and uphold the integrity of parliamentary processes is a vibrant civil society and independent media. In Ghana, organizations such as the Ghana Center for Democratic Development, CDD, and the Ghana Journalists Association, GJA, play pivotal roles in promoting accountability and transparency in governance. These institutions are crucial in keeping the government and parliament under public scrutiny, thereby preventing the normalization of violence within legislative bodies. Civil society organizations, CSOs, are also key to advocating for legal reforms that would enhance the quality of parliamentary conduct. These reforms could include the introduction of more stringent rules for parliamentary behavior, enhanced conflict resolution mechanisms, and stronger sanctions for violence. Media outlets, on the other hand, play a significant role in shaping public opinion and holding lawmakers accountable for their actions. The public's right to know about legislative procedures and misconduct helps create an informed electorate that can push for reforms and hold elected officials accountable during elections. Moreover, the media's ability to highlight specific cases of misconduct, such as the violent altercation in Parliament, plays a vital role in putting pressure on lawmakers and the Speaker to take swift and visible action. In this case, the swift suspension of the involved lawmakers was, in part, the result of the media's coverage of the incident, which ensured that public pressure mounted for immediate action. However, there is still much work to be done to ensure that civil society organizations and media outlets can operate freely without interference or intimidation, especially in environments where political pressures are high. Ensuring press freedom and protecting activists and journalists from political retribution will be fundamental to improving parliamentary conduct and enhancing public trust in democratic institutions. Reuters, youth involvement and political education. Another avenue for reducing parliamentary violence is the increased involvement of youth in the political process. In many African nations, including Ghana, young people are often on the periphery of political decision-making, despite comprising a large portion of the population. This disconnection has sometimes led to frustration and the alienation of the youth, who may perceive the political process as a system that benefits only the elite. By fostering youth political engagement through education and representation, Ghana could mitigate some of the tensions that currently plague its parliamentary proceedings. Young people, particularly university students and graduates, could be encouraged to take up roles in governance, participate in public discourse, and act as watchdogs over the actions of their representatives. This would not only help introduce new ideas into the political landscape, but would also provide the country with an educated and engaged electorate that understands the importance of a peaceful, effective parliamentary system. Investing in political education is key to achieving this. Young people need to be educated about the importance of parliamentary procedures, nonviolent conflict resolution, and the long-term consequences of physical confrontations in legislative bodies. This could be done through educational campaigns, seminars, and student organizations that focus on democratic governance and the role of lawmakers. Encouraging students to take an active interest in politics and governance at an early age will help foster a more responsible generation of future leaders who understand the importance of upholding the dignity of Parliament. Parliamentary reforms and institutional strengthening. While the suspension of the 4 lawmakers involved in the Ghanaian parliamentary clash sends a message, true reform will require institutional strengthening. To begin with, there needs to be a clear delineation of the rules governing parliamentary conduct. These rules should not only be comprehensive but also strictly enforced. A parliamentary code of conduct that includes specific provisions against violence and disorder could help ensure that lawmakers understand the serious implications of their actions and the damage such conduct does to the institution. Further, Ghana's parliament could benefit from reforms aimed at improving its procedural efficiency. The 2025 altercation, which stemmed from the prolonged questioning of a ministerial nominee, highlights how parliamentary procedures can be exploited for political gain, contributing to tension and ultimately, violence. Establishing a more streamlined process for vetting and questioning ministerial nominees would reduce the potential for political maneuvering and disruption. In addition to these procedural reforms, Ghana could look to enhance the powers of the Speaker's office to enforce order in the chamber. Strengthening the Speaker's authority, including the ability to impose more severe sanctions for misconduct, would ensure that Parliament remains focused on its primary function, representing the will of the people. The Speaker must have not only legal backing but also the political will to act impartially and decisively when misconduct occurs, regardless of the political party involved. Regional implications. Ghana as a model for reform. Ghana's approach to resolving parliamentary violence may serve as a model for other African nations struggling with similar issues. As one of the most stable democracies in West Africa, Ghana's response to such incidents could offer important lessons to its neighbors. The establishment of a special investigative committee as seen in the aftermath of the January 2025 clash could be emulated by other countries that struggle to deal with parliamentary violence in a transparent and accountable manner. At a regional level, the African Union, AU, could play a role in encouraging dialogue among member states on the importance of maintaining the integrity of parliamentary institutions. The AU's Pan-African Parliament could provide a platform for discussing best practices for managing parliamentary conflicts and could help promote peaceful dialogue as an alternative to physical confrontation. Moreover, Ghana's experience highlights the need for international organizations and donors to support parliamentary reforms in Africa. By assisting with capacity building, providing technical expertise, and fostering dialogue among African legislators, international partners can help strengthen Africa's legislative bodies and promote democratic practices. A call for structural change. As Ghana and other African countries grapple with the challenges of parliamentary violence and political polarization, the future of Africa's democratic institutions depends on the ability to implement reforms that promote nonviolent political engagement and respect for the rule of law. Ghana's recent parliamentary clashes underscore the urgent need for structural change in how legislative bodies operate, how lawmakers interact with each other, and how their actions are held to account. While the suspension of the 4 lawmakers involved in the January 2025 incident is a step in the right direction, deeper, more systemic changes are required to prevent such incidents from recurring. It will take the combined efforts of political leaders, civil society organizations, the media, and the public to ensure that Ghana's parliament, and by extension, Africa's parliamentary systems, become places of dialogue, cooperation, and mutual respect. By investing in political education, reinforcing parliamentary rules, strengthening oversight mechanisms, and creating a culture of peace and accountability, Ghana can set a standard for democratic governance in Africa, leading the way towards a more peaceful and effective political system for generations to come. Building consensus, the importance of dialogue in Ghana's political system. One of the key challenges facing Ghana's parliamentary system, and indeed many African nations, is the deep political divisions that often prevent meaningful dialogue and compromise. In the wake of violent clashes such as the one in Ghana's parliament, the focus should be on fostering a culture of constructive dialogue. Politicians across the political spectrum need to understand that their primary responsibility is not only to represent their parties, but also to serve the broader public interest. In Ghana, where political competition between the National Democratic Congress, NDC, and New Patriotic Party, NPP, often reaches a fever pitch, the art of dialogue has been lost in the heat of partisan disputes. The recent incident in Parliament highlights how the lack of effective communication between political factions can escalate tensions into violence. Lawmakers, especially those in opposition, may resort to delay tactics or aggressive questioning as forms of protest against the ruling party, which only compounds the problem. What Ghana and other African nations experiencing similar tensions needs is a platform for open, non-confrontational discussions where political disagreements can be aired in a civil and respectful manner. By encouraging bipartisan collaboration, Ghana's leaders could begin to dismantle the combative rhetoric that has become synonymous with the country's political landscape. International examples show that such shifts are possible. In countries like Rwanda, where political tensions once ran high, the government's focus on national unity and reconciliation has led to a more cooperative political environment. Similarly, South Africa's Truth and Reconciliation Commission following the end of apartheid helped facilitate open dialogues between opposing factions, allowing the country to move forward from a period of deep political and racial divisions. Ghana, with its vibrant political culture, could follow these examples by developing mechanisms that promote constructive dialogue, especially within Parliament. BBC News. The role of the international community, supporting institutional reform. The international community also has a role to play in supporting legislative reform in Ghana. While Ghana is often hailed as one of Africa's most stable democracies, the continued instances of parliamentary violence signal that even the most established political systems in Africa require constant nurturing and external support. International bodies such as the United Nations, the African Union, and even bilateral partners like the European Union and the United States can play an important role in helping Ghana build the institutional resilience needed to prevent future violence in its legislature. These organizations can provide technical assistance in strengthening Ghana's legislative institutions, offering expertise in parliamentary procedure, conflict resolution, and institutional design. By working alongside local stakeholders, such as political parties, civil society organizations, and academia, international partners can help build the frameworks necessary for a more robust and accountable political system. Additionally, foreign aid and development partners can support Ghana's political reform initiatives by providing funding for programs aimed at political education and governance reforms. This could include the creation of training programs for lawmakers on how to conduct themselves professionally and respectfully in the legislature, how to engage in productive political debates, and how to use parliamentary procedures to foster constructive dialogue. African Union. The importance of social media and public engagement. Social media and digital platforms have become key tools for engaging citizens in political discourse, especially in a time when traditional media is often dominated by political elites or restricted by government censorship. In Ghana, social media has played an increasingly important role in political discussions, allowing citizens to comment on parliamentary events, engage with lawmakers, and share their opinions on matters of governance. However, this power also comes with responsibility. The same platforms that allow for democratic participation can also fuel division and hostility. In recent years, Ghana has seen a rise in online trolling, hate speech, and threats targeting politicians, which only exacerbates political divisions and encourages further conflict. If social media is to be a force for positive change, both the government and civil society must work together to promote online discourse that is respectful, fact-based, and constructive. One possible solution to this challenge is to promote social media literacy programs that teach young people how to engage in healthy political debates online. This could be paired with public campaigns that encourage citizens to hold their elected representatives accountable while respecting the dignity of parliamentary institutions. The public's engagement with political affairs on social media can be a powerful tool in shaping the future of governance in Ghana. Empowering youth for political change. As Ghana's population continues to skew younger, it is vital that the country finds ways to incorporate the youth into the political process. In a country where nearly 60% of the population is under 25 years old, young people are both the most affected by poor governance and the most capable of driving change. Political parties and lawmakers should look to youth as partners in building a more stable, effective, and peaceful political environment. Empowering young people through increased political participation, leadership training, and opportunities to engage with lawmakers will go a long way in reducing political violence. By providing them with the tools and platforms they need to influence the political process, Ghana can tap into a vast, untapped resource that can help solve some of the most pressing issues facing the nation. Additionally, programs aimed at training youth to understand the importance of institutional integrity and the consequences of political violence could help foster a new generation of leaders who view Parliament as a place of respectful debate and public service, rather than as a battleground for partisan conflict. This approach is critical if Ghana is to avoid a future where the norms of parliamentary violence become ingrained in the political culture. Moving toward a future of stability and democracy. The road to parliamentary reform and a peaceful political environment in Ghana is long, but not insurmountable. With concerted efforts from political leaders, civil society, the media, and the international community, the country can transform its political institutions into pillars of democracy, stability, and respect for the rule of law. By addressing the root causes of parliamentary violence, political polarization, institutional weaknesses, lack of conflict resolution mechanisms, and the culture of violence in the political system, Ghana can emerge stronger from this crisis. Ghana's parliament must become a place where lawmakers engage in healthy, respectful debates for the common good of the people. This will require fundamental changes in how politics is conducted in the country, a commitment to reforming institutional frameworks, and an unwavering dedication to peace, respect, and democratic values. As Ghana moves forward, it is crucial to remember that parliamentary violence is not only a matter of institutional failure, it reflects deeper societal issues that need to be addressed. Only by tackling these issues head-on, with a clear focus on promoting democratic values and fostering a culture of peace, will Ghana be able to create a political system that truly serves its people. Ghana's experience with parliamentary violence serves as both a warning and an opportunity to rebuild its institutions and establish a stronger, more inclusive democracy for future generations. The commitment to peaceful and respectful political processes will shape the nation's political future and its standing as a beacon of democracy on the African continent. Fostering a culture of peace, transforming political discourse. To move towards a more peaceful and constructive political discourse, Ghana's political elites must lead by example. Political leaders should be the standard bearers for engaging in debates that are not only focused on winning, but on reaching consensus for the collective good of the people. This transformation should also take place within the political parties themselves, which are often breeding grounds for divisive rhetoric and tactics. Political parties in Ghana, much like in many African nations, must undergo a rethinking of how they operate, moving away from a win-at-all-costs mentality and toward one that prioritizes the long-term stability of the nation. In the context of parliamentary clashes, the emphasis on party loyalty and ideological battles often leads to zero-sum thinking, where one side must defeat the other in every encounter. This win-lose mindset is not only counterproductive but also dangerous, as it can fuel the kind of violence that has marred the workings of Parliament. What is needed instead is a mindset shift towards problem-solving and collaboration, in which members of both the ruling and opposition parties seek common ground and solutions that benefit the entire nation. To instill this culture of collaboration, Ghana could implement cross-party dialogue forums or even mentorship programs where seasoned politicians from opposing parties come together to guide younger politicians in the art of political compromise and respectful engagement. These platforms could also be open to the public, where citizens participate in discussions about governance and legislative processes. This would provide an opportunity to bridge the gap between the government and the governed, fostering a culture of transparency, trust, and mutual respect. Strengthening parliamentary systems through technology. An important avenue for reducing parliamentary violence and improving the legislative process in Ghana is the incorporation of technology. In recent years, many African parliaments have begun experimenting with digital tools that enhance transparency, streamline legislative procedures, and increase citizen engagement. Ghana's parliament could look to further develop and implement digital platforms for remote participation, live streaming of debates, and instant feedback from citizens. A first digital approach could provide several benefits, including 1. Greater transparency. Allowing citizens to follow parliamentary proceedings in real time would enhance public awareness and reduce the likelihood of lawmakers engaging in disruptive behavior when they know they are being watched by the electorate. 2. Efficient debate management. With the implementation of digital tools, Parliament could set clear guidelines on time allocation for debates, effectively reducing the chances of prolonged questioning used as a political tactic, as seen in the recent altercation. 3. Encouraging public engagement. By integrating digital platforms for public participation, Ghana could involve its citizens more directly in the political process, making them feel more connected to the legislative body and encouraging them to hold their representatives accountable. Such reforms would not only make Parliament more efficient and accountable, but could also provide lawmakers with the tools they need to engage in more constructive debates, reducing the potential for physical confrontations. The role of traditional leaders in promoting peaceful politics. In many African societies, traditional leaders play a significant role in maintaining social order and resolving conflicts. These leaders, who often hold influence within their communities, could be key allies in helping to reduce political violence. Ghana's chiefs and elders have historically played a role in guiding public opinion and offering mediation in times of crisis. Through initiatives like Dialogue for Peace forums, traditional leaders could act as neutral parties to facilitate discussions between political parties and even between lawmakers who are in conflict. This approach could bring a sense of impartiality and wisdom to the table, offering solutions rooted in Ghana's rich cultural heritage of conflict resolution. Additionally, these leaders could encourage young people to engage in politics with a sense of responsibility and integrity, emphasizing the importance of peaceful dialogue and the long-term consequences of political violence. In some parts of Africa, traditional leadership structures have been crucial in promoting peace, particularly in countries like Liberia, where tribal leaders helped mediate during times of conflict. Ghana could replicate these models by embedding traditional leaders in political processes, helping bridge the divide between modern governance and traditional practices. The path forward, strengthening social contract. Ultimately, Ghana's path to political stability and the reduction of violence in parliament lies in the strengthening of the social contract between the government and its citizens. This contract is based on the fundamental principle that political leaders are elected to serve the public interest, not to engage in personal power struggles. The recent clash in Parliament is a wake-up call for the need to recommit to this social contract, ensuring that Parliament remains a place for respectful and productive debates. Key to this process is ensuring that the public has a voice in how their representatives behave and how the political process unfolds. A shift toward greater political accountability, enhanced citizen participation, and stronger institutions can help Ghana heal the rifts that have deepened political divisions and facilitated violence in Parliament. This renewed social contract must prioritize transparency, inclusiveness, and fairness in political processes. Citizens must be able to trust that their representatives are acting in their best interest, and lawmakers must recognize that their role is to serve the people, not engage in partisan battles at the expense of national progress. The success of this approach will require consistent effort from all sectors of society: government, opposition, civil society, the media, and traditional leaders. Lessons from Ghana's political history. Ghana's political history, which includes peaceful transitions of power and a commitment to democratic principles, provides valuable lessons for the rest of Africa. The country's ability to maintain political stability despite economic challenges and periodic tensions is a testament to the resilience of its democratic institutions. However, as seen in the recent altercation, Even the most established democracies in Africa are not immune to breakdowns in the political process. For Ghana, the recent parliamentary clash serves as a critical juncture in its democratic development. How the country responds to these challenges will shape its future as a democratic beacon for the rest of the continent. The solutions will likely involve a combination of legislative reforms, enhanced political engagement, and a renewed focus on peace building, both within parliament and in society at large. By looking inward to its own history of peaceful governance and outward to other African nations that have faced similar challenges, Ghana can carve out a path to a more stable and peaceful political future. Whether through dialogue, reforms, or the involvement of civil society, the country has the potential to overcome its current challenges and emerge as a model of peaceful and effective democratic governance in Africa. A new chapter for Ghana's democracy. As Ghana seeks to move past the latest chapter of parliamentary violence, the country has an opportunity to strengthen its democratic institutions and political culture. By taking a multifaceted approach, embracing political reforms, promoting dialogue, involving civil society, and ensuring a transparent legislative process, Ghana can chart a course towards a more peaceful, prosperous future. The efforts to reduce violence in parliament, while important, are part of a larger project of nation-building and democratic consolidation. Ghana's ability to confront these challenges head-on and enact meaningful change will determine whether it can continue to serve as a beacon of democracy in West Africa. Reaffirming Ghana's democratic foundation. As Ghana grapples with the aftermath of its recent parliamentary clashes, it is crucial for the country to reaffirm the values that have made its democracy one of the most admired in Africa. Ghana's peaceful transitions of power and relatively stable democratic institutions have set a precedent for many African countries. However, the recurring incidents of violence within the parliament suggest that there is a need to bolster these democratic foundations and ensure that the country does not fall prey to the types of legislative gridlock and chaos that have plagued other African nations. The key to Ghana's continued success as a model democracy lies in recognizing the importance of maintaining a healthy relationship between the government and the governed. Democracy is not just about free and fair elections, but also about ensuring that the institutions of government function effectively, transparently, and for the collective good. The recent violence in Parliament is a stark reminder that while Ghana's political system is robust in many ways, it still faces challenges that need to be addressed head-on. To move forward, there is an urgent need for both institutional and cultural reforms that strengthen democratic processes and ensure that Parliament remains a space for peaceful debate and policymaking. Building trust between political parties. One of the central pillars of strengthening Ghana's democracy will be rebuilding trust between political parties, particularly between the ruling National Democratic Congress, NDC, and the opposition New Patriotic Party, NPP. The recent parliamentary clash was the culmination of long-standing tensions between these two factions. The fact that the altercation occurred over the vetting of ministerial nominees, something that should be a standard procedure, indicates that partisan rivalry in Ghana has reached a point where even routine tasks are being hijacked for political advantage. To address this, political leaders must prioritize bridging the divide between parties. This can be achieved through establishing bipartisan committees to work on key national issues and encouraging more frequent dialogues between party leaders. Ghana's political parties must also consider implementing mechanisms for intra-party discipline, ensuring that members who engage in violent or disruptive behavior are held accountable. By fostering an environment of cooperation and respect, Ghana can ensure that Parliament is a place where different political views are debated, not fought over. Political dialogue should extend beyond the walls of Parliament and into the public sphere. It is crucial for political leaders to demonstrate a commitment to national unity and engage the public in discussions about the future of the nation. Creating spaces for political discourse that are inclusive, respectful, and solution-oriented will help diffuse tensions and prevent political disagreements from escalating into violence. When the political class leads by example, the public is more likely to follow suit, thus reinforcing the democratic culture that is essential for national stability. Strengthening judicial independence and accountability. For Ghana to continue its path of democratic consolidation, there must also be a focus on strengthening the independence of its judiciary. The judiciary plays a vital role in ensuring that laws are applied fairly, disputes are resolved impartially, and that Parliament and the executive branch are held accountable. In recent years, there have been concerns about the growing influence of the executive over the judiciary, especially in the face of increased political tensions. To safeguard democracy, the judicial system must remain independent, with the ability to function without fear of political interference. The Ghanaian judiciary's ability to deliver justice impartially will serve as a deterrent to those who seek to use violence or intimidation to achieve political ends. For instance, lawmakers who engage in violent behavior must be held accountable in the courts, not just within Parliament. This process of judicial accountability will send a powerful message to political leaders and citizens alike that no one is above the law, and that the peaceful resolution of disputes is paramount. In addition to ensuring judicial independence, Ghana must invest in legal and judicial reforms that allow for the swift resolution of conflicts, especially those that occur within the political system. The quicker Parliament can resolve disputes through legal channels, the less likely these issues are to escalate into violent confrontations. Moreover, an effective judicial system that handles cases of misconduct and abuse of power in Parliament will also contribute to restoring public confidence in political institutions. Regional collaboration and learning. As Ghana seeks to improve its parliamentary processes, it is also important to look beyond its borders for lessons and strategies that have been successful in other African nations. Many countries on the continent have faced similar challenges in maintaining peace and order in their parliaments, and their experiences can offer valuable insights into how Ghana can overcome its current crisis. For example, Kenya has made strides in improving parliamentary conduct by introducing reforms to ensure better oversight of parliamentary procedures. The creation of a parliamentary ethics committee in Kenya has helped to monitor the behavior of lawmakers and ensure that any misconduct is swiftly addressed. Ghana could look to similar measures, adapting them to the local context to better monitor and regulate parliamentary behavior. Additionally, countries like South Africa and Botswana have focused on building a political culture of tolerance and respect, especially within their legislative bodies. By creating an environment in which constructive debate is encouraged and political opponents are treated with dignity, these countries have been able to minimize disruptions in their parliaments. Ghana can draw from these examples to create a more collaborative political atmosphere that values peaceful dialogue over conflict. Regional collaboration can also take place at the level of African regional organizations like the African Union, AU, which has played a significant role in promoting democratic values and peace-building across the continent. The AU's role in facilitating dialogue between political opponents in countries such as Sudan and Zimbabwe demonstrate its potential to mediate in crises of this nature. Ghana can engage with regional organizations and partner with other African nations to share best practices, offer support in times of political turbulence, and jointly address the challenges of political violence. Public engagement and civic education. Another key component in improving parliamentary conduct in Ghana is the active engagement of the public. Ghanaian citizens must be informed and empowered to hold their elected representatives accountable. This can be achieved through widespread civic education campaigns that focus on the importance of peaceful political participation, the role of parliament in democratic governance, and the need for respect for the rule of law. Civic education should not only target the electorate during election periods, but should be an ongoing process. Teaching young people about the importance of nonviolent conflict resolution, the principles of democratic governance, and the significance of their participation in the political process will lay the foundation for future generations to engage more effectively in the political system. Moreover, fostering a politically educated citizenry will lead to a more informed electorate that can vote for representatives based on their track record of peaceful conduct and commitment to democratic ideals. Additionally, civil society organizations, CSOs, and non-governmental organizations, NGOs, have an important role to play in bridging the gap between Parliament and the people. By promoting public awareness and offering platforms for citizens to engage with lawmakers, these organizations can ensure that political dialogue remains open, inclusive, and grounded in the values of respect and peace. Rebuilding parliamentary norms and accountability structures. Finally, Ghana's parliament needs to rebuild its internal accountability mechanisms. Beyond simply disciplining lawmakers who engage in violent behavior, Parliament must create a culture of accountability at all levels. This includes ensuring that all members adhere to a strict code of conduct that emphasizes decorum, mutual respect, and the peaceful resolution of differences. Parliamentary leadership must not only act when incidents of violence occur, but also proactively foster an environment where such behavior is less likely to occur. One approach could be the introduction of regular internal reviews of parliamentary conduct and the establishment of an ombudsman office within Parliament to handle grievances and misconduct complaints. Regular training in parliamentary ethics, conflict resolution, and negotiation could help equip lawmakers with the tools needed to engage in productive debates without resorting to physical confrontation. By rebuilding parliamentary norms and accountability structures, Ghana's parliament can ensure that its role as the central institution of democratic governance remains respected, effective, and focused on the needs of the people. Such a commitment to internal reform will ultimately safeguard the future of Ghana's democracy, fostering cross-party initiatives and collaborative governance. To further solidify the foundations of democracy, Ghana's parliament must embrace the concept of cross-party initiatives. Political parties in Ghana, though often adversarial, share the common goal of national development and must learn to work together to achieve this goal. Cross-party collaboration can be promoted through joint policy initiatives, task forces, and parliamentary committees designed to address the most pressing issues facing the nation. One possible initiative could be the establishment of a bipartisan parliamentary council that meets regularly to discuss key issues such as national security, economic development, and social reforms. This council could serve as a platform where representatives from both the ruling and opposition parties work together to create policies that benefit the public, rather than serve partisan interests. Such initiatives not only foster cooperation, but also create an environment of shared responsibility, where each political party understands the importance of mutual collaboration for the country's prosperity. In addition to national-level collaboration, local-level partnerships between political parties could strengthen democracy in Ghana. Encouraging local government officials from different parties to work together on community projects can have a powerful impact, not only on the communities they serve but also on the overall political culture. When people see their leaders cooperating and finding common ground, they are more likely to trust the political system and participate actively in the democratic process. Moreover, by focusing on collaborative governance, Ghana can set an example for other African nations that are grappling with political instability, ensuring that the political space remains inclusive and conducive to peace-building efforts. Economic reforms to complement political stability. While political reforms are vital to maintaining peace in Parliament and across the country, economic stability plays a critical role in ensuring that Ghana remains a peaceful and prosperous democracy. Economic challenges such as unemployment, inflation, and poverty have often exacerbated political tensions, creating an environment ripe for political violence. Addressing these issues through sustainable economic reforms is therefore an integral part of fostering long-term stability. One of the first steps toward economic stability is ensuring that government policies are inclusive and promote equitable growth across all segments of society. The focus should be on creating an environment where job creation, education, and social services are accessible to all citizens. By reducing economic inequality, Ghana can alleviate some of the frustrations that fuel political unrest, thereby decreasing the likelihood of violence in the political sphere. Furthermore, improving economic resilience through diversification and support for local businesses will help create jobs and reduce dependence on foreign aid. This economic empowerment can enhance social cohesion by providing opportunities for people from different political backgrounds to unite over shared economic interests. For instance, supporting small and medium-sized enterprises, SMEs, and promoting entrepreneurship could stimulate economic growth in underdeveloped areas, reducing the regional disparities that often fuel political division. Moreover, strengthening Ghana's economic ties with other African countries through regional trade agreements and joint economic projects can help stabilize the country's political landscape. By focusing on regional economic integration, Ghana can expand its role in Africa's emerging markets and reduce internal divisions over resource allocation. This approach not only strengthens Ghana's economy, but also enhances its position as a regional leader, fostering greater political stability. A renewed commitment to the rule of law. The rule of law is essential to maintaining order in both Ghana's parliament and broader society. In recent years, concerns have been raised about the increasing disregard for legal and constitutional processes in some African countries, with political leaders resorting to authoritarian tactics to maintain power. Ghana has, to its credit, largely remained committed to the rule of law, but the increasing frequency of violent clashes in parliament suggests a need for further reinforcement of these principles. For Ghana to continue its trajectory as a democratic leader in West Africa, it must deepen its commitment to the rule of law. This includes ensuring that lawmakers, regardless of party affiliation, are held accountable for their actions, particularly when they breach parliamentary decorum or engage in violent behavior. Strengthening the judiciary and making it more accessible to the average citizen will help ensure that political leaders remain answerable to the law. In addition, Ghana's legal framework should be reviewed and updated to address gaps in the legislative process that may inadvertently foster conflict. This may include revising parliamentary rules to address issues of procedural abuse, such as excessive questioning, filibustering, and other tactics that can prolong debates and create unnecessary tensions. With clearer and more precise rules in place, lawmakers will be better equipped to conduct their business without resorting to disruptive or violent behavior. Furthermore, civil society must continue to play a role in upholding the rule of law. By providing legal education, monitoring parliamentary activities, and advocating for justice, CSOs can ensure that the legal process is transparent and that lawmakers are held accountable for misconduct. The growing influence of civil society and legal watchdogs in Ghana presents an opportunity to reinforce the rule of law and create a more responsive, accountable political system. Reinforcing national unity through shared national identity. While political party loyalty will always be a key aspect of democratic governance, Ghana's leaders must work towards cultivating a stronger sense of national unity and shared identity. When political tensions are high, it is easy for the nation to fracture along party lines. However, Ghana has a rich cultural heritage that can serve as the glue to bind the nation together, transcending political affiliations. Promoting national unity through cultural programs, national celebrations, and educational initiatives that highlight Ghana's diverse history and achievements will help to reduce the divisions between political factions. By emphasizing what unites the people of Ghana, whether through their shared history, commitment to democracy, or the desire for a prosperous future, leaders can shift the focus away from partisan divisions and toward collective progress. Education will play a central role in fostering a sense of shared identity. School curriculums can be restructured to focus on the history of Ghana's political independence, the struggles for democracy, and the importance of peaceful conflict resolution. Such an education will not only produce informed citizens, but also empower young people to see themselves as agents of change, capable of contributing to national progress through nonviolent means. A vision for a peaceful Ghana. The challenges facing Ghana's parliament are not unique to the country, but are part of a broader trend of political violence in African legislatures. However, Ghana's history of peaceful transitions and democratic commitment places it in a strong position to address these challenges and emerge as a beacon of stability and good governance on the continent. The recent parliamentary clash serves as a reminder that while democracy is strong in Ghana, it is not immune to internal tensions that threaten its stability. Moving forward, Ghana must prioritize reforms that promote political dialogue, economic stability, judicial independence, and national unity. Through a combination of institutional strengthening, cultural transformation, and a renewed commitment to the rule of law, Ghana can ensure that its parliament remains a place for constructive debate, not physical confrontation. The vision for a peaceful Ghana, where political differences are settled through dialogue and respect, is within reach, but it will require a collective effort from all sectors of society to achieve. In the coming years, Ghana can lead by example, not only in West Africa but across the entire African continent. The lessons learned from the current parliamentary crisis can serve as the foundation for a future in which Ghana's political system is characterized by respect, collaboration, and mutual understanding, where violence has no place in the pursuit of national progress. The role of political leadership in ensuring long-term peace. Political leadership in Ghana will play a crucial role in navigating the path towards long-term peace and stability. Considering the recent parliamentary violence, it is imperative that both the ruling National Democratic Congress, NDC, and opposition New Patriotic Party, NPP, demonstrate strong leadership that prioritizes national unity over partisan interests. Political leaders must take proactive steps to rebuild trust, not only within parliament but across the entire nation. Leaders in Ghana's political landscape must recognize the critical role they play in shaping the political climate of the country. This means consistently calling for calm, de-escalating tensions, and engaging in public dialogue that encourages mutual understanding and respect. Political leaders should set an example of tolerance, even in the face of intense disagreements. By emphasizing the importance of peaceful, constructive debate, they can help shift political culture from one marked by division and conflict to one characterized by respect and cooperation. Political will to enforce discipline and reform. A critical component of this transformation is the political will to enforce parliamentary discipline and implement reforms. The swift suspension of the 4 lawmakers involved in the altercation is a step in the right direction, but it must be followed by more robust efforts to reform parliamentary procedures and strengthen oversight mechanisms. The political leadership in Ghana must ensure that lawmakers adhere to a clear code of conduct and that breaches of these rules are met with appropriate sanctions. To avoid future incidents of violence in Parliament, Ghana's political leaders must demonstrate a firm commitment to protecting the dignity of Parliament and ensuring that it remains a forum for healthy and respectful debate. This can be done through institutional reforms that include the establishment of independent bodies responsible for investigating and addressing parliamentary misconduct. Additionally, regular evaluations of parliamentary procedures should be conducted to ensure that they remain fair and conducive to constructive debates. Strengthening political parties, the role of internal reform. Political parties are the backbone of any democratic system, and their internal health directly impacts on the functioning of the broader political system. In Ghana, the 2 dominant political parties, the NDC and the NPP, must address the growing animosity and divisiveness within their ranks. Party leaders must focus on fostering internal unity and discipline, as well as promoting a culture of peaceful disagreement within their organizations. Internal party reform should include the establishment of mechanisms for resolving conflicts within the party without resorting to violence or disruption. By encouraging internal dialogues, these political parties can help reduce the likelihood of external confrontations, such as the one that occurred in Parliament. Furthermore, political parties should prioritize the development of a new generation of leaders who understand the importance of peaceful political processes and are committed to advancing national interests over party interests. Additionally, Ghana's political parties must invest in building a broader base of support, focusing not only on their core constituencies, but also on reaching across the political spectrum. By promoting cross-party collaborations and engaging in dialogue with members of opposing parties, the NDC and NPP can demonstrate a commitment to national unity rather than divisive politics. The role of the media in promoting accountability. The media, particularly independent and investigative journalists, play a vital role in shaping public discourse and promoting accountability. In Ghana, the media has the power to highlight the importance of peaceful political engagement and hold lawmakers and political parties accountable for their actions. By providing coverage of parliamentary proceedings, political developments, and instances of misconduct, the media can ensure that the public is informed and empowered to demand better behavior from their elected officials. However, the media must also be mindful of the power they wield in shaping public opinion. Sensationalizing conflicts or fueling political divisions can exacerbate tensions, making it more difficult for political leaders to reach consensus. Therefore, Ghana's media landscape should promote responsible reporting, with an emphasis on fact-based journalism and solutions-oriented discussions. This will help foster a more informed electorate that can engage in constructive debates and advocate for the preservation of democratic values. Moreover, the media should encourage public participation in the political process by providing platforms for citizens to voice their opinions, offer solutions, and engage in dialogue with lawmakers. In doing so, the media will not only act as watchdogs, but also as a catalyst for a more engaged and politically active citizenry. This will ultimately strengthen Ghana's democratic institutions and help build a political culture that prioritizes dialogue and cooperation over violence and division. Harnessing the power of education for political change. A foundational element of Ghana's long-term political stability is the role of education in shaping future generations of leaders and citizens. Educational institutions, from primary schools to universities, must incorporate civic education that teaches young people the importance of peaceful political engagement, respect for democratic processes, and the value of constructive dialogue. This curriculum should emphasize the role of Parliament, the importance of political participation, and the significance of upholding democratic norms in the face of disagreement. By instilling these values at an early age, Ghana can ensure that future generations of leaders approach political processes with the tools needed to resolve conflicts non-violently. Furthermore, universities and other higher education institutions can serve as incubators for new ideas and innovations in governance. By encouraging students to engage in research on political systems, conflict resolution, and the role of law in democracy, these institutions can produce a new generation of leaders who are committed to fostering peace and collaboration in Ghana's political system, creating a comprehensive national dialogue platform. Beyond political parties and parliament, Ghana must also foster a nationwide culture of dialogue. National conversations on governance, public policy, and national development should be inclusive, involving not only political elites but also civil society organizations, grassroots movements, business leaders, and ordinary citizens. These conversations can take place through public forums, town hall meetings, and national conferences where individuals from all walks of life can come together to discuss the country's future. A national dialogue platform that includes diverse voices will ensure that political decisions are reflective of the needs and aspirations of all Ghanaian citizens. This platform can also serve as a way to address long-standing grievances and tensions between different ethnic, regional, and political groups. By creating a space for open dialogue, Ghana can build social cohesion and a shared vision for the country's future. Moreover, national dialogue should also focus on addressing systemic issues such as economic inequality, unemployment, and access to education, which often fuel political unrest. By providing a platform for discussing solutions to these issues, Ghana can create a more unified society that is less susceptible to political violence. Moving toward a more peaceful future. As Ghana continues to navigate its democratic journey, the lessons learned from recent parliamentary clashes must serve as a catalyst for change. Through a commitment to institutional reforms, political dialogue, economic empowerment, and a renewed focus on national unity, Ghana can set a global example for peaceful political engagement. The road ahead will require a collective effort from all sectors of society, including political leaders, citizens, civil society organizations, and the media. By fostering a culture of mutual respect, accountability, and collaboration, Ghana can emerge stronger from this crisis, ensuring that its parliament remains a place for constructive debate and that its political system continues to be a model for other African nations to follow. The path to sustained political harmony in Ghana. To ensure that Ghana continues to thrive as a stable and vibrant democracy, the nation must focus on long-term solutions that go beyond temporary fixes. A sustained commitment to institutional reform, cross-party collaboration, and inclusive governance will create an environment in which political tensions can be resolved peacefully, ensuring that the country's political institutions remain strong and credible. By promoting transparency, accountability, and a commitment to the rule of law, Ghana can prevent the recurrence of violence in parliament and foster a political culture built on mutual respect, cooperation, and democratic principles. A renewed vision for African democracy. As Ghana embarks on this journey of parliamentary reform and cultural transformation, it offers valuable lessons for other African nations that may face similar challenges. Political violence in parliament is not unique to Ghana, and many other African countries have witnessed similar eruptions of conflict within their legislative bodies. However, Ghana's proactive approach to addressing these issues can serve as a beacon for the continent. African leaders must recognize the importance of creating political systems that are inclusive, transparent, and grounded in democratic values. Political violence, if left unchecked, undermines the integrity of legislative institutions and erodes public trust in the political process. Leaders must focus on promoting national unity, strengthening democratic institutions, and ensuring that their actions align with the aspirations of their citizens. Advice to African leaders: prioritize the people's welfare. To African leaders, The events in Ghana should be a clear reminder of the fragility of political institutions and the need for constant vigilance in upholding the principles of democracy. Leaders must remember that their roles are to serve the people, not to perpetuate conflict or advance personal agendas. Building political systems based on dialogue, respect, and cooperation is essential for ensuring that the continent's democratic institutions remain strong and that the aspirations of citizens are met. Leaders should commit to fostering an environment where political differences are addressed peacefully and where compromise is seen as a strength rather than a weakness. They must support the rule of law, guarantee the independence of the judiciary, and hold all political actors accountable for their actions. Furthermore, leaders should encourage the active participation of citizens in the political process, ensuring that public opinion is heard and considered in all aspects of governance. Key messages for African political systems. 1. Institutional integrity. Strong and independent institutions, including parliament, the judiciary, and law enforcement, are essential for the functioning of democracy. These institutions must be protected from political interference and corruption to maintain their legitimacy and effectiveness. 2. Dialogue and collaboration. Political leaders must prioritize collaboration over conflict. Cross-party dialogue and cooperation on national issues are vital for creating a unified, peaceful political environment. 3. Public accountability. Political leaders and lawmakers must be held accountable for their actions, particularly when they engage in misconduct or violence. Accountability mechanisms, such as independent oversight bodies, are crucial for maintaining the public's trust. 4. Economic and social stability. Political stability cannot be achieved without addressing the underlying economic and social challenges. Leaders must focus on reducing inequality, creating jobs, and ensuring access to education and healthcare, which are key to fostering national cohesion. 5. Civic education and engagement. Educating citizens about their rights, the importance of peaceful political participation, and the functioning of democratic institutions is essential for building a politically informed electorate that can hold leaders accountable. A call for a peaceful, prosperous Africa-Ghana's journey toward a more peaceful and inclusive political future holds valuable lessons for all of Africa. By strengthening its democratic institutions, fostering national unity, and addressing the underlying causes of political violence, Ghana can continue to serve as a model for the continent. However, the success of this journey depends on the collective will of the country's leaders and citizens to work together toward a common goal: a more stable, just, and prosperous society. For African leaders, the key message is clear: invest in democracy, protect the rule of law, and prioritize the welfare of the people. By doing so, they will help create the foundation for long-lasting political stability and peace, ensuring that Africa can realize its full potential as a continent of opportunity, progress, and shared prosperity. Thank you for watching. If you found this video insightful, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to The Bold African Voice, BAV, for more in-depth analyses of Africa's political landscape. Drop your thoughts and comments below. We want to hear your take on what's happening in Ghana and beyond. Stay tuned for more engaging discussions, and until next time, keep the conversation bold and informed.